All right, Creedies. Are you ready?
What's new with you?
All right, doggy. This is what we're doing today.
I've barely seen you all day, I feel like.
I know. It's been a tough slog. Although I went into Boston to pick up my brother, down to Charlestown and back. The lightest traffic I've seen in 37 years.
That's great.
It was wonderful.
That's great. Do you think it's mostly because people are still working from home?
I think it's that in the July 4th week is kind of a wash for a lot of people are out.
But
I mean, it was wonderful. Or it might have just been the timing that I was just happened to be out there at the right time. All right. So a couple things I want to get to before we get to bye-bye, Miss American Pie. And we're going to... it's a couple of things I talked about in the Connecticut station today, but I can't get... I can't... wrote about it in my Substack as well, called, you can get me at tomshattuck.substack.com. Let me tell you, it is not worth the money. But if you're dying for content and you want to waste some money, at least know where it went, that's where to go. Thoughts from the 42nd Parallel. No Pardons for Witches is the title. Subhead is, New England wine moms look to clear the names of demonic ladies from 400 years ago.
Okay.
Things are so good for wine moms and yoga pants that they're giving their lives meaning by appropriating the suffering witches. So many typos in this thing already. I'm seeing them. But so here's the thing. You got now these moms. In Connecticut, they're now finding these witches from before the Salem witches, and they want to exonerate them all because it was the patriarchy and mean and that, and people would find reasons to blame witches for things like if the apple cider harvest was bad, then they'd just go find a chick and hang her, or if her family wasn't affected by pneumonia, the dumb mouth breathing men would just go hang her because that's what happened. As far as I'm concerned, and I'm on the record for this. These are all actual witches, and all of them had it coming. I am for no. I am for it.
Okay, but can I just add one thing to that?
Sure.
It's interesting that you make that point because fundamentally the disconnect between now and then, I think people miss the point of the witch trials and all this stuff because the issue is they don't think that the trials were wrong or something because there was some miscarriage of justice. They fundamentally have a different belief in the reality of the situation than the people did at the time, right? You don't actually believe that it's wrong to kill a witch if the person's really a witch. Right? That's the issue, of course. So, if somebody is actually communing with Satan and demonic entities to ruin the lives of their neighbors, then they probably do deserve the death penalty. It's just that people now don't think that was actually happening back then. But since you weren't there, you don't really know. Maybe they were communing with demonic entities. How do you know?
That's the whole point of this thing, is that there's no one smarter than a Range Rover driving wine mom from an upscale neighborhood in 2022. There's no one smarter, So they are the most enlightened, group of people on the earth, and they'll tell you that. They'll be happy to tell you how enlightened they are. So, so here's a little story. This is one of them.
Right after the show. If you're good in the show, okay? And then right after.
Decades before the sale. Was that a little pain noise?
He wants frozen peas right now.
Decades before the infamous Salem witch trials began, there were witch trials and executions here in Connecticut. In fact, the first witch hanging in all English colonies happened in 1647 when Alice Young was hanged in Hartford. Now there's a movement to have her in the...
And ask him. James can get that for you, too.
Or Sally. Sally, can you handle him?
Isn't Sally at softball?
Oh, you're right.
Just James.
Now there is a movement to have her and those who were convicted exonerated by the state. The first hanging of 32-year-old young Alice Young of Hartford. She inspired a book that was written. So they want to exonerate all these people, and starting with 32-year-old Alice Young, who is, as far as I'm concerned, was indeed a witch. I also am married to a witch named Alice.
That's not true.
It is true.
No, that's a slander on me because...
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
That's not the case.
Good noticing skills,
No, because
Alice.
I actually believe in witches, and I don't think I'm one.
You do.
I do actually believe in witches.
Do you or do you not ride a broom?
I do not.
Yes, you do.
No,
That
I
is
don't.
incorrect.
I
Incorrect.
don't ride a broom.
So anyway,
Ask your brother James to get them out for you right now.
So Alice,
He doesn't know how to get frozen peas out of the freezer? Tell him he can figure it out.
James,
please.
get frozen peas out of the freezer for your brother now.
Get frozen peas out of the freezer for your brother.
You don't have to cook them. Just put them in a bowl. Okay.
Seriously, not that hard.
Typical offspring of a witch.
It's not true. I am not a witch.
So, yes, you are.
I'm not a witch.
Yes, you are. And you're
No.
getting I Am Not a Witch t-shirts
No.
made. You
No,
are. Yes,
I'm
you
not
are.
a witch.
Yes, you are.
Plus,
here's
that's
the-
not even original because that's the Christine O'Donnell thing from back in the 2010 election.
So, here's the thing. So,
Mhm.
of course, they managed to go find descendants of these people. And many of them, of course, are wine moms from other parts of the country now. And so, the Alice Young's 9th generation great-granddaughter is named Susan Bailey.
Mm-hmm.
Susan and a few other wine moms are
Okay.
available to talk to the press and will tell you that, yes, Alice...
Well, were their ancestors witches then?
Alice, hold on.
Okay.
Of course they were not witches. They were... The patriarchy hanged them for whatever patriarchy reason because it was fun to kill women. And we do that to this day. So listen to her. This is her talking. Then this is what I love. You're a woman who's like 50 years old or whatever, upscale, beautiful house, summer place probably. You might have a place in the Hamptons or this and that, whatever. Alice is drinking right now. And you've got everything in the world. One kid going to Brown, one kid going to Yale. And listen to how this adult talks. This is Susan
Bailey.
Susan Bailey, who's a great 50 greats granddaughter
I thought it was 9. But
of
okay.
Alice Young. And hold on 1 second. Let me find it. Here it is, right here.
To exonerate them would go a long way toward bringing peace to the descendants who I'm sure feel the way I do, that it was just a terrible wrong.
So Susan Bailey has not been at peace her whole life?
No.
Because somebody
and she still
never
won't be.
knew.
Even if
who
they're
she knows-
exonerated, it'll just go a long way toward bringing her
No,
peace.
but hold me.
She still won't
You're
be all the
actually-
way there.
You live in a $3.9 million house with beautiful animals and beautiful cars, and you're not at peace because somebody in 1647 was killed. Just talk to me about the self-indulgence you have to be in to be somebody who says that out loud. How do you say that? Oh, by the way, you're a victim? Guess what? I'm a victim too. Wow. Oh, how? Was I assaulted? No. Was I, was I near the ground zero? No. Was I shot at in Las Vegas? No, none of those things. Well, I haven't had the peace that I should have because 400 years ago, somebody I never met who could or could not be related to me was hanged in Hartford, Connecticut. What kind of psychosis is this? Seriously, how does a grown person go up
Well,
and say...
it's the natural extension of victimhood culture.
And that's the next part of this. So this is what she goes on to say. Totally not shocking.
It also underscores what goes on in the present with people being targeted because they're a little bit different.
So you see, Alice Young was standing up for Drag Queen Story Hour 400 years ago, before anybody knew what it was. She's that noble a person. Freaking incredible.
Right. I do think this is interesting because
Alice, have fun with how crazy this woman is.
She's
This
crazy.
bounced right off you.
It is crazy. It is crazy. But
It's a grown woman. This is not a college kid who's, oh my God, guess what? I just found out I'm a victim. This is a grown woman.
Well, a bunch of people have bought into this. And there's a bunch of, this is a natural thing that grows out of this attitude that people have, where they have this idea that Christianity and therefore the witch trials, which, America was sort of the last gasp of the witch trials. They'd been going on in Europe for hundreds of years before that. And, did not, this was sort of the tail end of hanging people because they were witches, right? And there's sort of this mythology that's around it that has to do with this stuff like the patriarchy, this idea that Christianity's patriarchal, and there were all these like women of the woods who were just like practicing herb lore, and like the patriarchy took them out because they were mean or whatever. Now, of course, I'm not going to say that all the people that were ever killed in witch trials were witches, obviously, but I do think that it's important to note that the people at the time believed that these were witches, and I believe there is such a thing as like dark arts and communing with satanic entities. So I mean, like, I think that that's a real thing that exists. Certainly in early Christian and then later Christian worship where people were practicing pagan religions, like, we don't have really a good analog for this today because the people that practice Wicca and pagan religions, like, it's all a game to them in a lot of cases, and it's sort of like fake and fun, and they think that, you know, witches are all like queer and feminist and all this stuff. But paganism was insanely oppressive to women. It was insanely oppressive to certainly any underprivileged groups or whatever you want to call it. But I mean, like, we have no concept today of how Christianity civilized Europe and the Near East, right? And how these values that we sort of take for granted in our society today were a direct outgrowth of that. There's no like feminist pagans like being trampled on by mean Christian misogynists. It has nothing to do with misogyny. Like, you know, some of these trials may have absolutely been a farce, but like plenty of trials for lots of things have been. And it's not something that's driven by a patriarchy. I mean, it's so absurd to say that when Christianity really in the pagan world was considered a religion that was womanish. It was frequently called by the Romans and the Greeks a religion for women and slaves because it was considered like a religion for dumb, weak people like chicks. You know, that's what Christianity was considered to be. The masculine religion that valued virility and manhood and raw power was paganism. So, and I mean, people who were pagans absolutely did commune with evil spirits. That was like part of what they did. So, you know, the idea that we have today of like the nice, innocent pagans practicing their nice, innocent religions. I mean, worldwide, they did things like human sacrifice and, you know, ritual sexual acts and all kinds of things that we today, I mean, like with people who were enslaved to commit ritual and sexual acts, like temple prostitutes who were essentially slaves. Like, it's not some, like, temple prostitutes in the era of pagans was not some, like, feminist sex positive thing. It was sex slavery. But we have this just totally revisionist view of paganism versus Christianity in the ancient world, the medieval period, and going into modern times, because we're looking at it all back through the lens of, like, the Renaissance and the Enlightenment, where we've decided that none of that stuff exists, period, the end. But this was all very, very real to people up until relatively modern history. So, you know, the concept that we have of witchcraft and witch trials today is like nothing like what it would have been for somebody living in the 1400s. Because these were real propositions to them. The history of paganism and the practice of things like this was in the relatively recent past. So, I mean, I don't know. I get our modern conception of witchcraft and witch trials is so colored by just our basic idea that there's no such thing as anything actually evil in this universe, that we tend to like project that backwards into the past on this. And it's just not the case. So, I mean, like, I don't know. I haven't read about these particular Connecticut ones, but that's all these people are doing, is they're just pressing some narrative they read in the past into the service of their worldview of now.
Well, that's exactly right. In other words,
witches wouldn't have voted for Trump,
right.
So they're the good guys in the
right.
story, and the mean Trump did the witch trials.
Right,
somehow.
And her contention, of course, is that things have not changed. It's doesn't move whatsoever. You know, and but the Puritans are angry and upset that, you know, that women are not allowed to vote, and that
It's just such an ahistorical, stupid world.
it is, but it's
And
comfortable.
just
Everything to
living
them
in
is
this-
a comfy teddy bear. That's what it is.
Everything's just living in this perpetual now of like we're just doing the same thing over and over again. Every moment is the same as the moment before. We're always at the same moment in history. Everything is the same as it was 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago. They're living in this weird time spiral where it's always the same to them.
All right, so I want to hit something else, okay?
Okay.
This is the last Connecticut thing I'm going to do, but this can be anywhere else because I've seen this with Boston TV stations as well. In media. Sorry about that. All right, let's ask you to be quiet. No. So I'm looking for stories today,
Okay.
and I'm looking around, and I see that there's a story that says early.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Answer Desk. It's
Okay.
of Channel 3, the Channel 3 News. And the thing I see, the link for it says, Answer Desk, Connecticut residents struggle with new unemployment website. So I say, oh, that's interesting. It was posted last night. I click on the story, and the URL continues to say, Answer Desk, Connecticut residents struggle with new unemployment website.
Okay.
But the title of the story now is Answer Desk, new state website aims to smooth unemployment filing process. So that's interesting. So the original story I found that matches the US URL, kind of, and it's very interesting. So should I start with the one that I found, the today's story or last night's story?
Let's start with last night's story.
So last night's story is the reporter is Eliza Krasinski, who's, by the way, on my freebie list, just in case you have a freebie list, right?
No.
Bill Malugin. Yes, you said Bill Malugin.
No.
What? No, really? We don't?
I don't have a
Yeah, you
freebie
do.
list.
What a
No.
witch thing to say.
I'm not a witch. And I don't have a freebie list.
Okay.
There's
you
no
do.
such thing as that.
You said Bill Malugin. Okay.
I
so-
think Bill Malugin is a very
yes,
attractive
that's your way of saying
gentleman.
freebie
No.
list, but you have too
I
much
don't-
truth.
Yeah, and I have
So-
honor, and I wouldn't actually
anyway.
do that.
So anyway,
Don't say you have a freebie list.
so listen, Alice,
That's a
I'm-
witch thing to say.
I'm starting. Listen, I'm going to say there's an outsized chance, Alice, that I'm not on her freebie list. Okay, so I think you're probably safe.
It's still wrong.
Okay, so no freebie list. Okay, I find her to be an attractive person who's eclipsed by my wife's beauty, though. Okay, Jesus, she's also a really good reporter. Oh, but okay, so let's go to this is the Channel 3 News last night. Here's Eliza's story.
11 out with the old and in with the new. Connecticut has a new unemployment system, and there are some growing pains. Good evening, everybody, and thanks for joining us right now at 11. I'm Mark Sinney.
And hi, everyone. I'm Erin Connolly. Although people had some difficulties navigating the website today, we're told there is no need to worry.
This is it's their unemployment website portal. We've had our own problems, right?
Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Eliza Krasinski has the answers to your questions. She is joining us live in Wethersfield tonight with much more. Hi, Eliza.
Hi, guys. Yeah, Reemploy CT has officially launched with over 20,000 claimants, but some residents have brought to our attention that they were having some difficulties with the system today.
Am I going to get paid? When is it going to happen?
Reemploy CT launched over the holiday
That's one of the people who's not getting paid. The website's not working for her.
weekend, and there have already been $1.2 million paid out in claims just in the last 24 hours.
This is part of our overall efforts. We continue
governor
to try and
of Connecticut.
modernize our state government. No more inline, online, make it easier.
This system is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. However, some residents are having difficulties. Every Sunday, like clockwork, Cindy Scalora files her unemployment, but she, along with others, had some technical difficulties with the new website.
So I spent most of today calling the several numbers trying to get a hold of somebody, and I kept getting the message, all of our associates are busy at this time and we cannot schedule a call back.
After trying countless times to get a hold of somebody, she felt frustrated as her husband is the only one working.
I've been declared legally blind, at least until next week. I have eye surgery coming up. So right now my husband's...
This is somebody who has fallen through the cracks, who is being underserved. Her and her family are underserved.
Right.
This web thing is not working for them. So this is one example. Remember the girl, the 11-year-old who needs an abortion down in wherever. We're told all about this week, and she can't get whatever. So,
the financial breadwinner, and, we depend on that unemployment.
After bringing these concerns to the Department of Labor, they tell me there's a solution if you're having difficulties getting in touch with someone.
The reason why she's a good reporter is because she's following the story to where it's going.
Right.
They got a bunch of reports saying it doesn't work. Of course, they got a press release from the state saying, hey, check it out, there's nothing better. They got reports saying it doesn't work. The reporter then is talking to one of the people who's complaining.
To filectui.com, schedule a call back
If you're 75 years old, how easy is that to remember?
Right.
5 what?
under the Reemploy CT tab, make a selection, ask to speak with someone.
Scroll down here. Okay.
At this point, the reporter, Eliza, is literally now walking her through how to do it. She's doing the bidding of the state now. Okay, just scroll down here, find this, do this, and then it's going to tell you to text.
You go schedule a callback.
Ah, okay.
You can add in a time
Awesome.
and a date
It's Eliza the
and
reporter.
when you're free, and
Right.
it's a 15-minute window that you can actually talk to someone.
Excellent. That solves a lot of the issues because, again, being, my husband being the primary breadwinner, that little bit of income certainly helps with different things,
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
especially until I can work again.
You hear Eliza just say, oh my gosh, yeah, totally. Because she's a sympathetic human being who's tried to walk her through.
Right. But
So,
now reporters have to do this because...
because it doesn't work.
Right.
So here's the problem. Let me just, so then this morning, the title, of course, is changed from the URL to the positive title. And this is this morning's news story.
Some good news for the thousands of people who are out of work right now. Filing for unemployment just became a little simpler because of a new process. And this.
What? Did you not watch last night's news? Some good news. And by the way, how much conditioning is that? Grooming is that? By the way, some good news. Smile. This is good news now.
This is all thanks to a new online system that was developed.
Eyewitness News reporter.
Now this is done. This is read right off the press release from the state. This is what the state wants. Undoubtedly, the communications director for the governor probably called them last night and said, clean that up. You tell a different story, or you're not getting the governor. And you're not getting this, and you're not getting that. It's an election year.
Roger Suzanin is now live outside the Department of Labor in Wethersfield with details. So, Roger, state leaders have been working on this project for a long time.
What the F is that, by the way? They've been working on it for a long time. That's right, and it's a smashing success. Some good news.
Oh, man, you can say that again, Wendell, because get this. The Department of Labor has actually been working on this project since way back in 2016. Now, it was supposed to officially launch last year, but stop me if you've heard this before. It was delayed because of the pandemic. But finally now, it is ready to go, and state leaders say it's really
ready to go. That's great.
It's going to make a huge difference. Now, the new system is called Reemploy CT, and the goal is to eventually make filing and collecting payments a whole lot easier for claimants by essentially simplifying the process, because Reemploy CT replaces several different unemployment systems that had all been operating.
This is a press release being read, essentially. This is not reporting. The girl last night, who's not on anybody's freebie list, she did reporting, and she hit pay dirt immediately.
At the same time. And the Department of Labor emphasizes that the new process will also reduce the number of documents that filers and employers will need to send through the mail. It'll also greatly reduce the number of times companies must file their wage records. All big differences. Now,
all those bullet points, those are precisely off a press release.
Right.
It will greatly reduce. No, it's not it will. It's according to them, it will. You can't say it will.
We did hear from a few folks who struggled to sign up with the new system yesterday. But if you need some assistance, just head to file.
We did hear from a few people who struggled yesterday. But if you need assistance, just head to what?
Yeah, that seems like an efficient way to run things.
Well, but also, what's the news saying? Sure, there was some people who had trouble, but if you need assistance, why is he doing tech support for the state?
Right.
It's a reporter.
ctui.com and then schedule a callback under Reemploy CT. That way, you can talk directly on the phone with an expert. But we do have a link to that site for you right now on the Channel 3 app, again, if you need some help. But state leaders say overall this rollout has been a real success. It's been
Oh, is that what the state leaders said?
Right. How about the people that need to file on it? What do they say
What
about it?
Right. What about the blind lady with the husband? What about that?
very smooth. About 20,000 people file for unemployment every single week in Connecticut, and about 19,900 folks have already signed up for Reemploy CT. So again, off to a pretty darn good start.
What? Wait a second. Off to a pretty darn good start. What is this freaking propagandizing the next day? Are you effing kidding me? This same outfit that did the reporting yesterday on how this start is not pretty darn good. It's pretty darn bad.
And Governor Ned Lamont says the site is really going to make a huge difference going forward.
This is part of our overall efforts. We continue to try and modernize our state government. No more inline, online, make it easier.
And again, if you want to file for unemployment benefits this week, you still have some time. The deadline is Saturday. And again, if you need some help, just check out the Channel 3 app. Reporting live in.
So I just mentioned that today because I found the story and I saw the URL and I saw the two different stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I just mentioned that today as a kind of a tutorial because I've been in the media and I've seen people in TV, people say, no, we're not going to run that story. So obviously somebody who was into journalism originally did a story about this thing not working.
And then somebody got a phone call.
Right? And then somebody this morning who's just all in for the Democrats in an election year changed the story, extracted all the good content, which is that woman who of course is suffering from this, extracted it and looked no further and discarded it completely, which is absolutely and totally amazing.
You want tomato juice?
Go ahead, it's in the fridge. James can get it for you.
He has it here for you, right here to pour for him.
Okay. Go ahead, Alice. You can fill for a second.
So he's gonna have.
You can fill with your thoughts on this.
Daddy, give him the potato juice. So I mean that's what happens here, right? Is that people find a story organically because people come to them, and then it gets completely steamrolled by like the official press release version that's just a bunch of talking points that someone has. But ultimately, I mean, I have to believe ultimately whether it works or not is going to come out, because it always does. Because this stuff, like if it doesn't work, you can't really hide the truth of that. It's like the Obamacare website, or in Massachusetts, we had our own version where we had our own state rollout of our state healthcare website that didn't work either, right? Like people notice if things don't work for them at all, and it becomes a really big issue. So, you know, I have to think that if this is truly a widespread problem, it's going to catch up. Like them distributing the talking points to local media is not going to completely solve the problem for them.
So I didn't do this as a topic today. I just did it as a lesson in how the media works and how they will happily distort a story to tell the story they want to tell rather than what the facts say. And then I get calls from people not able to get the information they need. Because even though they followed the directions of this, nobody ever called them. So then, and I'm going to talk about this tomorrow too, because apparently it's a thing. The news is saying it works fine. So then,
19,900 people filed just fine. I'm
getting my call from the person. I hit Reemploy Connecticut in the Facebook search, and I see a Channel 8 news post saying the state's 40-year-old computer system that handles unemployment claims has been updated. After bogged down at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, the state is now launching Reemploy CT. And I go down here to the comments.
Okay.
Will DeBurgo said this system is not running correctly, with a thumbs up from somebody. Tracy Morawski Pompano says, system is not working. When you sign on, it says system error. When you call, there's a recording saying we cannot take your call. We're too busy. Try again tomorrow. Get another one saying it's been doing that for me, and they have also not called back for the 2 appointments I was able to book. Another person says, so frustrating. This isn't from me, but the person who was doing this scheduled the call back for tomorrow. It was first available. I'll have to let them know not to hold their breath. Thanks for the heads up. Another guy says, I had to get a new phone number because you can only get one appointment per phone number, and they never called my last appointment for this morning at 8:30.
So after they miss your appointment, when they don't call you, you can't request another appointment with the same phone number?
You're done.
That was your one appointment. Sorry.
That's right. But that's the rollout, the specific one that Eliza Krasinski was reporting on correctly.
Right.
But that's not this one.
Some good news for the thousands of people who are out of work right now. Filing for unemployment just became a little simpler because of a new process, and this is all thanks to a new online system.
It just became a little simpler because we don't let you do it. So that's nice and simple.
Well,
it's nice and simple because we don't actually send you any unemployment.
But the funny thing is,
it's the simplest possible system.
Well,
you go on the
hold
website and it says error.
Don't let him get that far, Alice. It just became a little simpler. Let's start again. Ready?
Okay.
Some good news for the thousands of people who are out of work right now. Filing for unemployment just became a little simpler.
Some good news. Pretty anchor, smiling. The sound of the
Is she on your freebie list too?
No, the sound of the swoosh going high tech, happy, goodness, competence. The good news just got a little simpler. They have no witnesses saying it's simpler.
Right.
They have a bunch of witnesses saying it's not simple and it's broken. The only witness saying it's simpler is the press release from the state that launched it.
Right.
This is why we've got a problemo in this country. Mm-hmm. This is no good. No good. Holy God, media is poison.
I do kind of have a question, which is like, why can't government ever seem to do anything? Like, why are they this bad at everything? Like, why do they take years to launch an Obamacare website that literally doesn't work at all?
Oh, listen to this. Listen to this.
Why can
it's
they?
Because government sucks. Listen to this. State Representative Anthony Nolan is a Democrat in Connecticut. Says Governor Ed Lamont and Connecticut Department of Labor Commissioner today announced a successful launch of the state Connecticut's new unemployment benefits and tax system. A comment. This is a Facebook thing. Says, "Sorry, it was not successful at all. We are all left stranded. The system is giving everyone an error, and the people from unemployment can't even access the records to do anything manual. They said try back later. Since then, I've had numerous callbacks that were scheduled. They never called me. The system won't even let me schedule a new callback because they never placed the last call to me, so I'm stuck in the system. It's already been a long time without payment, and we don't even know how long before it's going to be fixed. I've spent more time trying to get my unemployment payment. Instead, I need to be looking for a job. This is ridiculous." The state rep, this is perfection. Actually, I need to screenshot this before it's gone. Oh, sorry. Isn't it how you screenshot?
I don't know how to screenshot on a Mac because they're terrible. On my PC, which you hate,
Alice,
I have a little button.
Don't dilute this. We need this right now.
Okay.
This is too important. So once again, the guy said, sorry, it was not successful. We've tried, all left stranded, this, that. I can't get in. They said to try back later since I've had numerous callbacks and they were scheduled. They never called me, etc. The state rep responds to him. Sorry you're having issues. Has this been since the 5th of this month? This is when the new system started. Now it gets beautiful.
The 5th
Hold
of
on,
this
now
month?
it gets beautiful. I am not showing you in my district list. If you need help, please refer to the representative in your district to help you switch from old file to new file. Imagine that. Are they in our district? It's kind of a tough question. How beautiful is this? Holy God.
That's terrible. Also, has this been since July 5th? July 5th was 2 days ago.
Right. Yes, he's on the new system. That's what everybody is talking about. I got to reach out to this guy. Okay, so...
So did anybody call you in about it that was having problems?
Yes. They called me on the air immediately. After that, it's like I said, it wasn't a topic. It was just like informational about the media. But yeah, I'm going to do it again tomorrow, obviously. So here's the other... so that's...
Well, because they need to resolve this. People aren't going to like be able to buy groceries because they're going to be delayed from getting their stuff. And like they said, the deadline's Saturday. So if you don't get it in... I show tomorrow being Friday. Am I wrong?
No, you're right.
And that means that if people aren't able to file tomorrow or possibly some amount of time on Saturday, then they are screwed, correct?
You're right. Yeah, this should be a huge news story.
So, plus the poor decision, I think, to launch this on a holiday weekend and week, which for a lot of people might not have even occurred to them to get into the system until later in the week because things probably weren't up and running Monday, obviously the 4th, and then they launch it the 5th with a deadline of Saturday. That seems to me not brilliant forethought.
Right. It's a huge success, the state said. So there you go.
It got simpler.
Got simpler. That's right.
I mean, like I say, it is simple. If you just can't file, that is simpler.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
there was probably going to be more paperwork to come had they gotten in, but now they're out and unburdened by paperwork. So here's another thing I just wanted to get to very quickly is, at this point, Alice.
Okay.
At this point, with the messaging coming from the White House, at this point, they might as well. It's as if they have pulled the goalie, as a matter of fact, and it's just there's no one that has net. I don't understand what they're going to do. It's interesting. It's almost like not funny. But here we go. Listen to this.
We believe that more work still remains.
No, not this one right now. Okay, here we go.
Why do you think it is that 88% of people in this country polled by Monmouth think the country is on the wrong track?
So I'll say this. The president understands what the American people are going through. He understands that gas prices are high because of Putin's tax hike, because of the war that the brutal war that Putin has taken on in Ukraine, and their brave fight for their democracy. That's what we're seeing here. And also the food insecurity, the food cost has skyrocketed. And that's why the president has done everything that he can to blunt those high prices.
The brutal war.
Putin's tax hike. I thought we were calling it a price hike because Putin really can't tax America, by the way.
And Americans are now seeing this as well. These are two super geniuses, two possibly historic firsts. April Ryan asking a question of Karine Jean-Pierre. Now, in the world where things mattered, where symmetry and institutions mattered, April Ryan would have asked this question, at which time her phone would have rung and the Slack channel would have lit up, and somebody would have informed her that all of her possessions from her job, her key card doesn't work anymore, and her possessions from her job are waiting in the security office, so she can grab them right there. That's what should happen if somebody asks a question like this.
A question on the Secret Service director. Is equity and inclusion still a part of the president's hiring practices when he looks at that spot? Because you have never had a black man or someone of another color, I guess, be the head of that organization.
So I'm not going to get ahead of the process, but as you know, this is
I don't know why not. You did with every other hiring process.
That we have equity, that we have inclusion. You see that up and down his administration.
So that effing incredibly moronic, psychotic question, Karine does have an answer for, because of course that's why she's there. She has that kind of answer. Absolutely. But some things she absolutely does not have an answer for.
Just a different topic. The largest labor union in the country, the National Education Association, had been proposing a resolution for future contracts to replace the word mother with birthing parent. What does the president think about proposals like that one?
So we're not the NEA, and I would refer you to their team about that particular.
The vice president just spoke at that conference, though. The first lady's a teacher. The president says he's the
she's
most
a member
pro-labor president ever. Does
absolutely.
he support proposals like that one? Does he think that is an important priority for?
And the First Lady is a proud member of the NEA. I am not going to speak about an organization's policy or change of policy. I am not their spokesperson.
the thing about this is it's so painfully irrelevant to everybody's real life problems. And who does April Ryan work for? CNN?
No, some obscure thing now. I don't even know.
Okay. So the idea that you will go out there when there's this like massive inflation and people are struggling and you would ask what race the next head of the Secret Service is going to be, like that's something literally anybody cares about. Like, I mean, the head of the Secret Service could be an alien from Mars for all I care. Like, does anybody care about that at all? Do you care what race the Secret Service director is?
Friggin' holy God.
It just seems like the most irrelevant thing anyone's ever heard of. Like that's news to someone. There are so many big, huge problems in this country right now that the administration just refuses to deal with. And it's incredible that they're on this path to like not address anything, not do anything. Like you said, it seems like nobody's steering the ship right now at the White House.
No.
Like they absolutely don't care about any issues going on in the world at this moment in time. And it's so like, there's just such an absolute absence of leadership. It's something that like I think even the left is noticing. I feel it. I mean, that's why the vultures are circling and everybody and their mother seems to be angling to run in 2024 on the Democratic side, but because it's so clear that like this is not like nobody's in charge at the White House or in the party.
No.
There's no priorities. There's no platform. There's no plan. Nobody's doing anything. Like, I can't imagine what it would feel like to be a member of Congress, a Democrat in a vulnerable district right now.
No.
Wouldn't you be, like, just screaming into the void for somebody to do something?
Right. And I think that's why we're hearing some voices starting to come out here.
Well, yeah. So it's interesting. So NPR did a story about the first Gen Z candidates running for Congress and running against compromise. And I think this is part of what's happening is I think Democrats like Deborah Messing and the other people we talked about yesterday too, like I think they're pissed off at their party and at Biden too, because there's like zero anything happening and at home, which I mean like it's probably better for Republicans at the moment, to be honest. But anyway, so here's this NPR story. It isn't hard for Maxwell Alejandro Frost to name political moments throughout his childhood that have stuck with him. Turning on the TV and seeing a bunch of people sleeping outside of Wall Street talking about something called wealth inequality, seeing that in elementary school, Frost said. Growing up learning that 30 minutes away from me, a kid that looked like me who was wearing a hoodie was murdered for being black, Trayvon Martin, and seeing the outrage after that, he added. Frost is running for Congress in Florida's 10th congressional district, an open and solidly blue seat containing parts of Orlando. He's 25 years old, the minimum age to serve in the U.S. House. So this is the first time in 16 years millennials are not the youngest generation able to run, raising questions about how Gen Z will approach Washington. For Frost, his roots are in organizing, working as an activist since the Sandy Hook massacre in 2012, and most recently serving as the national organizing director for March for Our Lives, a youth-led group advocating for increased gun control policy. He's also a survivor of a separate incident of gun violence. He says Gen Z has a new way of approaching politics, given that this generation has come of age during such a volatile period in American history. Our generation has been born into a lot of trauma and a lot of civil unrest around people being frustrated with things. And I think because of that, our generation naturally thinks about things a different way. In the St. Louis suburbs, a 25-year-old Ray Reid is also looking to break the traditional mold. He's an organizer and former Democratic campaign staffer, vying to oust Republican Ann Wagner in Missouri's 2nd congressional district, and he pushes back against those who say he should start in local politics. The cynics say he's too young, he's too untried. Maybe if he were to spend a few terms in Jefferson City, then he'll be ready to run for Congress, which is really just political talk for get him out of our system. Let's teach him how to play the game our way, and then if we say he's ready, then he can run for higher office, Reid said. He says cynics cast him as a risky pick. The real risk is to nominate the same type of Democratic candidates election after election after election and somehow expect a different result. He added, both Reid and Frost are progressives, owning in on issues like curbing gun violence, passing the Green New Deal, and canceling student debt. They are all about Roe v. Wade, and they want to make history as the first Gen Z House member. Is what's his face not Gen Z? Madison Cawthorn?
Well, he's history though, but I guess he would be.
I mean, yeah, he is, but these people can't be the first Gen Z member of Congress, can they?
27 or whatever.
Is he 27?
Sure.
I don't. Well, I guess he would be if he's at the end of his term. If he had to be 25 to get in there, but I mean, like, I like want to look. But anyway, he's endorsed. They also talked about Caroline Leavitt in New Hampshire, who was a deputy press secretary under Kayleigh McEnany, who's also 25, who's a Republican who's running for that congressional district, the same one as Gail Huff. So, yeah, I don't know kind of this like NPR article obviously is trying to frame this way, but they end the article by saying the frame is shifted from I'm going to bring about change by being someone who looks for opportunities to work across the aisle, and I'm going to disrupt the institutions and systems that are allowing the other side to continue to prevail. So it seems to me that these people are running against their own party.
Yeah.
They don't like the Democratic Party. They don't like Biden. They feel let down by the promises of Biden, and they're done with this whole party.
Yeah, I mean, there's always been, young romantic, flourishes in young people who are wanting to get into politics. I mean, I think they, I believe they're made up of vapor and sloganeering and Snapchat and Instagram, though. I don't think there's anything to them.
So Madison Cawthorn was born in 1995. So I guess that makes him
What a stupid year to be born. Missed everything. All right, should we bolt?
I guess we're done for the day.
I wanted Manners to get on the chat. There's a couple messages. We'll get them all Sunday. Okay, Manners is in town, Alice. We got to do something about this. This is important.
Are we going to hang out?
I don't know. We could. We've been messaging here. Something exciting could happen here, Alice. I'm very much looking forward to this. Oops, sorry.
Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Imagine how many people listening don't even know where that's from right now.
Yeah, tell them, Alice.
No, you know what? Maybe I won't.
That's from Cardi B.
No, wait! I was going to do a contest to see who's a real fan of the show and knows where that's from. Okay.
So now...
Cardi B doing what? Okay. If you can call into the chat and tell us what Cardi B is doing making that noise, based on your burn barrel listening chops, I know some of you out there do know what it is, but call in and leave a message on the chat and we'll send you a Burn Barrel Podcast t-shirt if you get it right.
Mother Road.
So, yes, tell us what Cardi B is doing making that noise and we'll send you a Burn Barrel Podcast t-shirt. Call into the chat, leave a message, and we'll catch up on chat messages Sunday. The guy from Twitter didn't tell us if he was mad about the chat existing or not doing it enough. So I still don't know. You have to...
You know what else, too?
What?
You know what people should know?
What?
If you don't belong to Patreon, if you don't subscribe to the Patreon, you get all that excellent extra stuff on a Sunday, where we may have been to a restaurant or cafe, then you don't even know what this noise is.
Well, they do know sometimes because you did give them the Patreon show once by accident.
No, that's a Patreon-only noise.
2 more hogs got the fever.
Anyway, thank you all for listening. As always, leave those chat messages. Tell us what
Republican voters in South Carolina ousted one of the 10 Republicans who voted to impeach the former president over his role in the January 6th insurrection.
It's funny because there was neither an insurrection or an erection
Alice!
on January 6th.
Alice!
But, or write us an email, burnbarrelpodcast@gmail.com. Go to burnbarrelpodcast.com. That's where you can leave chat messages, find all the places to listen. Leave a good review on Apple Podcasts because because you love us, of course.
C'est la vie.